Hi, today I want to discuss the concept of a no-fix. So a guy walks in because his machine turns on but you don't see anything on the screen. He got water and some soda in it, and also he threw a bunch of rice. I explained that this heavily corrodes the board. And I opened it up and I even showed him. I said, do you see what I'm looking at? Like, see all that green shit over here? See, like, this is going to be a challenge. I gave him the price ranges of what it could be, and I told him give me a day or two and I'll figure it out. 5 hours later I figured it out. I worked on it for 5 hours because I was also working on about 5 or 6 other machines at the same time. So, I'm moving it back and forth between them. And there are a couple of problems. The LVDS connector is missing a pin. The LED driver is shot. The boost diode is like in the fuse, and the boost fed are all missing. Like, I'm serious. They're just little black specks on the board with no legs that if I tap hard enough with the tweezers, they would just turn to dust. Because the guy had been using this machine for quite a while and letting electricity pass through it with the water and the fucking remnants of the soda and the rice, and it was just a complete mess. So I replaced these components, and I can tell that this guy is kind of cheap, so I give him a couple of different options. So those repairs are just kind of a bitch. So I say, I can get your screen to light up again for about, like, I think it was 100 or 120 bucks, but if you wanted to not have this silly tint on it, that would be a full repair, which is about 2 to 250 bucks. I could be off by 10 or 20%. I honestly don't remember. It's late, and I don't feel like looking up the ticket right now. And I explained the options, and this person was interested in the full repair. And then I get a call back later in about a half hour saying, I'm actually not interested in it at all, I'd like to pick it up. Now, I don't have an attitude, because I offer a free diagnosis. I don't offer a free diagnosis so I can bend people over and rape them. I offer it because I honestly believe it should not cost money to know what it will be to fix your computer. If you decide to go someplace down the street that does it for half the price, or even $5 cheaper, and I took 24 hours out of my day to fix your machine and figure out what was wrong with it, I'm not offended. And I will have a genuine thank you for using our business when I hand you back the computer. There is no attitude. There is no, I'm going to fuck this thing up so bad that nobody else is going to be able to work on it, because I don't have a spiteful business model, believe it or not. So all I do is remove my components. Like, that's my LED driver, that's my boost diode, that's my FET, that's my fuse. I didn't bother replacing the LVDS connector yet because I wanted to get approval, and I know at this point that once I replace that, the video tint is going to go away. And again, that's also a component that I cannot remove. I can't just take off my LVDS connector because I'm going to melt it. You cannot remove an LVDS connector from this board without somewhat fucking it up, without tools that are just beyond my budget. Now, the next day I get a phone call from him saying, I took this to another place and they said, there are some things missing, and why didn't you put them back? And I go, you gave me a board where these pieces were literally falling off. I have to use an iron that heats itself up to like 700 Fahrenheit to get these pieces that were corroded by Coca-Cola, rice, and water off of your board. Do you think that they still exist? I throw those things in a fucking garbage. The dead fuse goes in a fucking garbage. A boost FET that's this small, if I know that it's dead and it doesn't even have legs, that goes in a fucking garbage. So I replaced them, and then you said no fix. I'm not keeping my shit on your board. Fuck you, that costs money. And I'm also not going to fucking super glue a little black body of what used to be a fucking FET transistor back onto your board when it's a no fix. Again, does it still boot like it did before? Sure. Does it still turn on? Sure. Does it still have no backlight? It doesn't have a backlight. I've given you your computer back in the condition that you brought it to me. Is it not in the exact same physical architecture? No, it's not, because in order to actually fucking diagnose it, I need to replace the component that is literally burnt, corroded, and destroyed off of your fucking motherboard. So no, that stuff is not back on there. He goes, well, can I get it back? And I go, those pieces are probably sitting on my table as little bits of black ash. No, you cannot have them back. This is like asking for your mother back if you cremated her and threw her over the ocean. You cannot get that back. Technically, those ashes still exist somewhere, but good luck finding them. Now, he says, well, okay, I understand. Then I get a call back saying, can you tell me what those things were, because they need to know what that was so that they can fix the computer. At this point, we've moved on to a reasonable customer question to a fuck you moment. Excuse me. You denied repair. Now, I put 3 or 5 hours into your computer to figure out what's wrong with it. You know what? I offered that. That's free. You're entitled to a free estimate. You are not entitled to a free fucking diagram of what I did so that you can reproduce it if you don't want to pay me. Again, no offense, but fuck you! Suck it. Seriously. I am not going to tell you exactly what it is I did to fix this. And then he goes, well, how are they supposed to know what component that is? And I go, that is an 820-2530 motherboard. That is your first hint. Now, if they know what the fuck they're doing, they're going to have a schematic around there so that they can see, oh, that's what goes there. Because that's what I have. That's how I figured out what's on that board. That's how I know that the 820-2530 uses the same boost FET as an 820-2879, but uses a different LED driver. The 820-2530 uses an LP8543SQ, whereas the 820-2879 uses an LP8545SQ. See, the reason I know that is because I invested in my business. And again, go back to that other video. If you're going to have a fucking repair business where you expect to take $1 or $2 or $3 or $400 from people, invest in your business. Don't have your fucking customer call me to tell you how to fix a fucking computer. What should I do while I'm on the phone with you? Oh, maybe I should give you the names of the components, and maybe I should tell you which way to orient them when you solder them. Why don't I just tell you exactly how to solder the chip on the board, and while I'm at it, maybe I'll send you a URL to the page on DigiQ where you could buy it. Maybe I'll create a shopping wish list on Mouser for you with all the components and make you a step-by-step diagram on how to fix it, even though I'm not getting paid. Fuck you! No fucking fix! You don't get to call me and ask for directions. You don't get to call me and make the job easier for the next guy. You are totally entitled to use the cheap guy. You are totally entitled to take your computer back frame after the free estimate is done. And again, no offense. No hard feelings, because that is just business. And again, I'm even happy that you walked in the door and I appreciate your business. But am I going to teach the guy that is half my price with half my experience how to do his job? No. Fuck you. A free estimate is a free estimate. It's not a free diagram of what is wrong so that you can just recreate what took me years of experience to learn. No. I am not going to spend time on the phone with your fucking technician explaining what I replaced. Maybe if he owned a real fucking business, he would spend $20 fucking on a schematic for this motherboard so that he can make some money. Spend $20 on a PDF file so that you don't have to embarrass yourself by having the customer call the last guy. Now let's talk a little bit about how inconsiderate this is to the next technician. There are lots of businesses out there that are no fix, no pay. Meaning if they cannot fix your motherboard, they do not charge you. Do you know how much of a dick you have to be to take a board that one tech says no fix on and send it to the next business that is no fix, no pay? They're doing this under the entire idea that you may pay. A free estimate is not charity. Yes, I admit it. As a repair company, I do a free estimate, not out of charity, but because I expect that if my price is reasonable and my turnaround is reasonable, and that I'm reasonable, that there's a reasonable chance that you will pay me for what it is that I want done. If you know that you will just not have this done unless it's fucking free, and you know that this is an advanced motherboard repair, then why in motherfuck's name would you go to another place to try to get it done for under $100? You're wasting his time. Because that guy he's less experienced than I am, obviously, because he doesn't even know what fucking chip goes on that board, which means he doesn't have a schematic, which means he's guessing. He doesn't know where the fuck anything goes. You're wasting his time. He's going to spend more time than I am diagnosing. He's going to spend 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 hours trying to figure out what's wrong with the thing. Only for you to say no because it's more than $100. That's really fucking inconsiderate of you. And you know what? I actually took the time to explain that. I said, you know, honestly, if you're paying for this diagnosis, I'm not going to say anything, but if this is a free estimate that this person is providing, you are really wasting their time because they are going to spend more time than I did to tell you the exact same thing than I did. And if you're paying for this estimate, go, I don't care, but if you're not paying for this estimate, you're doing this place a disservice, and that's just not right. Because, you know what, they are the competition, they may be less experienced than me, but that doesn't mean that I hate them. Just because they are undercutting me, just because they're less experienced, just because they're having this woman call me to ask them how to fucking fix their motherboard, that doesn't mean that I have any hard feelings towards them, because there's camaraderie here. You know, I don't like having my time wasted. I don't like when somebody did not really even want to spend money all along on something and wasted my time, knowing that they didn't want to spend real money on it, but they brought me a real problem. And I don't like the idea that you're doing that to somebody else, so I thought that that was worth talking about. And I also want to talk a little bit about technician's code. because there are technicians that leave hints behind. There are times where you may spend an hour fixing a computer, and then it winds up being a no fix, or they change their minds. Because sometimes it really is just labor. Sometimes a machine does not work, and sometimes, let's say it's something really miserable like a Sony Z series, where you spend an hour taking it apart, and then an hour putting it back together, and it all works magically, and they decide to change their mind. Well, I don't know what it is that fixed it. All I know is that everything was a mess inside. I took everything apart, I put it back together, and it worked. So I may do something that a couple of other reputable shops I know do, which is simply unplug the memory from the slots and keep them inside the compartment. And just take it down. Because, again, you don't want to pay. I'm not going to spite you by ruining your machine, but I sure as fuck am not going to give it back to you working. Now, when machines come in with not just the memory loose, but both memory cards out of the slot and taped inside, that sets off a signal. That tells me, cheap fuck, somebody who does not value the time of others. And every single time this has happened, it's been true. And I've joked with the receptionist and I've said, give the guy a call and tell him it would be $65 to fix this computer. Where it totally worked with the memory slots. And it'll even have the sticker of the other shop on it on occasion inside, or they say that they went to this other shop. So I know that the other place did some work on it and that they had their time wasted. And they go, 60 bucks? I'm not paying 60 bucks to fix this. Now, I would have actually wasted time opening the whole fucking thing up had I not seen this signal from the other technician. This signal that told me that this customer is a waste of fucking time. Now, as a technician, when that guy heard from this person, oh, by the way, I took it someplace else, and he sees that the exact 4 components that power the backlight are missing from the board, this should tell you something. This should tell you that somebody else has already had their time wasted, and that instead of figuring out what's wrong with it, you should throw a quote out there simply to find out if this is worth spending money on. If somebody brought me a board that had no backlight, and I noticed the LED driver, the FET, the fuse, and the boost diode were missing, and I noticed that it looked like it had been skull-fucked by Coca-Cola before, that's not a coincidence. I would say, did you bring this someplace before? And they go, yeah. And I go, well, why didn't you have it done? And they go, well, they wanted $150 from me. And at that point, I would have looked at them and said, well, fuck you! I want $150 to fix this too, because that's real fucking work. I wouldn't actually go through the effort of trying to work on this, and then call the person and say, call them and tell them what they did. Because you know what? That's inconsiderate. That's inconsiderate. That it's not considerate to actually have the gall, after you've wasted 3 to 5 hours of somebody's time, to call them back and ask them for exactly what they did. That is my property. That remains up here. And if you want this information, you need to pay for it. Now, let's talk about what unethical is. Let's say a machine is not turning on because of liquid damage and they don't want to pay for it. So you purposely damage it so it can never be used again. Let's say you purposely short things on the board and fuck it up way worse than anything else. I consider that wrong. What is correct to me is returning this to the condition that it was. So you have a computer that doesn't light up, I'll give you back a computer that doesn't light up. And if you bring it to a place that actually knows what the fuck they're doing, they'll even be able to light it up. But the point here is that anybody who knows what they're doing is going to charge more than me, most of the time, because my prices are insane, or as much as me. So that's why this is not going to be fixed. It has nothing to do with the fact that I returned you something fucked up. It has to do with the fact that I simply did not leave my repair on there for you to just give to somebody else. And I'm okay with that. Now, what I'm not okay with is somebody saying, let's fuck this up. Let's put the power chip on, but like this instead of like this, and try to turn it on so that it just sparks and destroys everything. I don't believe in making things no fix. It's the same with data recovery. There are a lot of spiteful technicians out there that go, fuck that, they don't want to use us. Fuck that, they don't want to use us. You know what? They have their right. It is a free market. People are allowed to shop around. Do I like the fact that I've lost money to somebody that's cheaper? No. But that is how the world works. And you cannot unethically fuck people just because they don't want to use you. That's not right. And they're not going to want to come back to you, especially if they go somewhere else and they go, this is fucked up. I don't want to send fucked up devices out there into the world because it's bad karma. And it's going to come back to me poorly. So I don't do that shit. When it comes to data recovery, I'm not going to, say, oh, I recovered the data and they don't want it. Okay, let me zero the drive. Fuck them. I don't do that. I'm not going to zero the drive for somebody just because, they don't want to pay for data recovery. Again, that's spiteful bullshit. But if you call me and say, hey, you were able to recover it, right? Well, I brought it someplace else that's cheaper than you, and they just kind of want to know what command you used. Let's go back to that Degeneration X thing that I saw from the WWF in '99. Fuck you! Because you're not entitled to that. It takes some balls to actually call a place and go, you know, I'm not going to pay you for this, but I want to know what you did so that I can do it myself. Good night.